Hey, so I want to ask you something. What is it that's stopping you from sharing your unique ideas? Now, I work with professional speakers all the time, and the number one reason that they give me is imposter syndrome. Does that sound about right? You tell yourself you're not an expert, that you're not qualified enough, that somebody else out there knows more. But what if I told you that thinking you're not expert enough is actually your biggest advantage? You know, we've been sold this myth that only the elite few, the certified, the decades in the game veterans have the right to speak up. Well, I'm calling bullshit on that. In fact, being less of an expert might just be your secret weapon. Let me explain. Here's the truth. Not being an expert can actually make you a better teacher or guide. Why? Because you remember what it's like to be new. You're closer to the problem and you speak the same language as the beginner. You know, have you ever had an expert explain something and at the end of it you still don't get it? Exactly. Experts often suffer from the curse of knowledge. They're so far removed from the starting line that they forget how it feels to be there. Let me give you an example. In March of 2020, I hosted a webinar right when the lockdown started. It was called How to Present Online Like a Pro. Maybe you attended. Here's the kicker. That was the first time I had ever presented online.
Shut the front door.
I'd never done it before. Yet there I was telling people how to do it themselves. And you know what? The advice we gave wasn't bad. It was solid. But in hindsight, maybe a bit dated and clumsy. That actually worked in our favor. If I'd been a polished expert with years of online presentation experience, I might have been too far removed from the struggles of a beginner. Instead, I was figuring it out in real time, just like everyone else. That made the content land better. You see, people don't always need to learn from the master. They need to learn from someone just a step ahead of them. I figure out something yesterday, I tell you today, so you can use it tomorrow. I'm just one step beyond.
One step beyond!
This argument keeps popping up. Learning from somebody who's just ahead of you can be more effective than learning from somebody who's miles ahead. At Missing Link, we run a speaker mentorship program called Story to Stage. You should check it out. But guess who often turns out to be the best mentors for the newbies?
Tell me.
Last cohort's graduates. See, I've been a professional speaker for 22 years, but they've just faced the same challenges as the current group, so their advice is fresh. They remember the nerves of stepping on stage that first time. They can say, I opened with a joke and totally bombed. Here's what I did to recover. Although, my jokes still bomb all the time. I said to a hotel chain recently that if they really cared about customer service, they'd have the tissues next to the bed so I don't have to do the walk of shame. Too much? I digress, always. Their advice would land better with a beginner, way better than some theory from an old pro. And I mean old.
Look who's a silver fox.
I'm reminded of Frank Abagnale, you know, the con artist from the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. True story. He once posed as a sociology professor and taught a college class for an entire semester. When asked how he did it, he kind of shrugged and said, hey, it was easy. I just studied one chapter ahead of my students. One chapter ahead. And he pulled it off. Now, I'm not suggesting that you con your way into a job, but it shows you only need to be slightly ahead to guide someone.
Do you concur? Concur with what, sir?
You don't have to know everything. So, how do we apply this concept? Well, I know how I did. At Too Many Robots, my fractional AI management business, our entire ethos is based on being close to where our customers are at in their AI journey. Like, what could they actually learn from an AI expert from something like OpenAI? I'll tell you this. A lot less than they'd learn from another entrepreneur like them that's using AI for their own business just a few steps ahead. You know, we don't stride in and declare, behold, the all-knowing experts have arrived. Hell no. We work shoulder to shoulder with our clients. Usually we're just a step ahead on whatever problem they're tackling. Maybe we solved a similar issue last month for a different client, or we've been tinkering with the same technology they're starting to use.
Well, that makes sense.
For example, if a client was struggling to implement a new workflow, chances are we went through that with another team. So we know the tricky parts. We tell them, watch out for step 3. That'll really trip you up. We share what we've learned and we figure out the rest together. Staying this close keeps things practical. We're not distant consultants handing down orders from on high. We're partners in the trenches. This builds trust because clients see we're right there with them, learning and adapting just like they are. It also means that our information is always relevant as we're maintaining a beginner's mind. And this, my friends, may be the single most important and difficult thing to do to stay relevant in today's day and age, the beginner's mind. So here's the bottom line. Embrace where you are right now. You don't have to wait until you're an expert to speak up. If you're just a few steps ahead of someone, that's enough to help them. So share what you know. Write that LinkedIn post. Volunteer to lead the training session. Mentor the new hire at work. Start that YouTube channel. Whatever form it takes, it doesn't matter. Just put it out there. Step up. Don't let the little voice saying, I'm not an expert enough, stop you. If you're at level 5, help the level 4s. You're the perfect person to do it because you get what level 4 feels like. Next time you catch yourself thinking, who am I to share this? Remember, you might be only one chapter ahead, but that's exactly why your perspective matters. Step forward and speak up. Someone out there will be glad you did. lead loud.